Welcome to Sane-ish, the podcast for people healing from trauma, addiction, abuse, mental health struggles, grief, narcissists, and every other flavor of chaos life can throw at you. And somehow still functioning, mostly. I'm your host, Holly Broughton, survivor, truth teller, boundary setter, and proud member of the Still Healing, Still Hilarious Club. Around here, we don't do shame or embarrassment. We don't do perfection. Just real talk, dark humor, hard truths, and a whole lot of hope. Because sanity is overrated. And healing? That shit is messy. This is Sane-ish. Let's get into it. Disclaimer. On the Sane-ish podcast, we discuss personal stories of alcoholism, addiction, mental health, chronic illness, narcissistic abuse, domestic violence, SA, HT, parental alienation, grief, loss, homelessness, as well as many other forms of adversities in life. Our intention is to be inspirational, educational, identifiable, and resourceful. The views and experiences shared are in no way meant to praise or condone any illegal or harmful behavior. This content is for educational purposes only and not intended as professional advice. If you or someone you know is struggling with any of the above, we strongly suggest seeking help from a qualified professional, support service, or hotline related to your specific issue. Hey everyone, welcome to Sane-ish. Today's episode is different. It's heavier, it's deeper, but it's also incredibly important. Today, April 25th, is Parental Alienation Awareness Day. There are some forms of abuse that leave bruises, and then there are the ones that don't. The ones that rewrite memories, that shift loyalty, that slowly, quietly, painfully erase a parent from a child's life. And today we're talking about something that many people experience, but few people truly understand. Parental alienation isn't just conflict between parents. It's not just a messy divorce or two parents not getting along. It's not just kids choosing sides. It's the systematic breakdown of a child's relationship with a loving parent through manipulation, pressure, fear, and control. And for the parent on the receiving end, it can feel like grieving someone who is still alive. In this episode, you're going to hear real voices, real parents finishing one simple sentence. Parental alienation is. Some of these will break your heart. Some might make you uncomfortable. Some might sound painfully familiar, but all of them matter. Because awareness is the first step to understanding, and understanding is the first step to change. So wherever you are, listening, driving, sitting in silence, I invite you to lean in, because this conversation is one we can't afford to keep avoiding. And if you're listening right now, as a parent who's been cut off from your child, or as someone who grew up feeling confused, torn, or manipulated in your relationship with a parent, I want you to know this right off the bat. You're not crazy. You're not alone. And what you're experiencing or experienced has a name. What parental alienation actually is. Very briefly, parental alienation is not just one parent talking badly. It's a pattern of psychological manipulation. A child is conditioned to reject a loving parent without legitimate cause What this means is a parent coaxing the child, whether it be by saying things to the child, by preventing the child from seeing the other parent, by withholding the child from the other parent, by mentioning court cases to the child, by inserting the child in adult situations. It can be in many forms. This is psychological abuse of a child, even including third parties, whether it be a new partner, a new boyfriend, a new girlfriend, stepmother, stepfather, even grandparents saying bad things about the other parent, also getting involved in the parent's relationship, persuading the child. This is all parental alienation, in addition to giving the child more gifts. It's all of this is parental alienation, false accusations. The list goes on and on. It's a very destructive and harmful, not only to the child, but to the targeted parent. It's traumatizing. I myself am a targeted parent. I've experienced this myself. I have been alienated from my 15-year-old daughter for the past 6 years, and it has been traumatic for me. I have been in trauma therapy myself, and because of that, I can't imagine what my daughter has been through and just the separation for her. And just not knowing or being able to understand what happened to her mother, trying to piece together certain things. I can't imagine what it's been like for her. Stress, anxiety, it just starts compounding things for the children. It makes it harder for them later on. And this is documented. So, with that, that's a brief overview of what parental alienation is. And it could be one parent against another. It could be grandparents against a parent. It could be whole families against a parent. Or it could be the whole families against another whole family. So that is what parental alienation is. What I would also like to touch on in this episode is if you are a targeted parent, would also like to talk about something very important. There's also something else that needs to be said to you, especially with the time of year we're in right now. As we recognize Parental Alienation Awareness Day, we're also approaching Mother's Day and Father's Day. And for many alienated parents, these days don't feel like celebrations. They feel like reminders of absence and silence and disconnection. But I want to say this very clearly: no confusion, no asterisks, no conditions attached. If you are a mother being kept from your child, you are still a mother. If you are a father who hasn't heard love you in far too long, you are still a father. Your title did not disappear because your access was denied. Your love did not become less real because it wasn't received. And your role, your identity as a parent, is not something anyone else gets to revoke. So when those days come, you are allowed to honor yourself. You are allowed to grieve and celebrate at the same time. You are allowed to say, I'm still a parent and I deserve to be recognized as one. That might look like writing a letter to your child, even if you can't send it, doing something meaningful in honor, speaking their name out loud, or simply acknowledging quietly, I love my child, and that matters because it does. And if no one says it to you that day, let me be the one who does. Happy Mother's Day and Happy Father's Day. You are still a parent, and that has never changed. It's very important for us as parents to remember that we are still our children's parents, even though we have people trying to erase us from our children, but we are, and we will never be taken. That role will never be taken from us. A couple of other things I wanted to discuss very quickly. The subtle ways that parental alienation begin, which people miss, are small comments that are started, don't listen to your mother, don't listen to your father. Subtle comments, withholding. A lot of times it makes me want to cry because all they want to do is love both parents. That's it. That's all they want to do. They didn't ask for this in the first place. They want to love their cousins, they want to love their aunts, their uncles, their grandparents, and they're just not allowed to. They're being forced to be stuck in one place, and this is all you get. So, and it's very disheartening sometimes, and it causes confusion, it causes anxiety, depression, and it's very sad. I've seen some of these children. Some of them have autism and special needs. And with those children, it causes even more problems. And it seems like the alienating parents don't care. They don't care that it's causing more problems. And it's unfortunate. Like I said, control, narcissistic traits, unresolved trauma, fear of abandonment, loss of identity, and adds depth and credibility. And the child's internal conflict, like I said, this is where my heart breaks. They just want love for both parents. It creates internal guilt, fear, confusion. It's a survival based alignment with the dominant parent, and the child is not the villain. And that's what I understand. I see that. And the impact on the targeted parent is what I've had to understand is I've had to give a voice because I felt silenced for a long time. I had two people for a long time against me. And now I have a huge family against me. And it's unfortunate. And it's been torture. It has been torture. I have had to grieve my daughter for the past 6 years, and she's alive. And it's completely different than grieving the loss of a child who's passed. When a child has passed, it's done. It's closure. When you're grieving a child who's living, you have no idea if you're going to ever see them again or talk to them again. And for the narcissist, that's their ammo because they like inflicting pain. They like inflicting torture. That's their ammo. But I have learned through my trauma therapy that I had to come out of my paralyzing fear and talk about what has happened to me and my daughter because I didn't deserve this and neither did she. And it's wrong. I never did anything wrong. Neither did her grandmother, my mother, neither did my sister, my brother, her aunt, uncle, her cousins, nobody. Yet they can't see her, but his side can all the time. And the balance is off. So, and there's also powerlessness in the systems that don't understand, meaning, I thought that the court system was there for the truth. Lady Justice, balance. Nope. The court system is there to see who can manipulate the best. And that's wrong. Totally wrong. Who can manipulate the judge the best? And that's not okay. Not okay. And I got to the point where it wasn't worth it anymore. Not that my daughter wasn't worth it. She's totally worth it. But for my mental health and my emotional health, it's not worth it. And then for the narcissist to twist that around and use that, it's not worth it. Not worth it. And not only that, I've also heard horror stories about CPS, which is also another part of my story too. Not as bad, but um, CPS doesn't understand. And, there's also many horror stories beyond in CPS. There's just, it's tragic. It's tragic. I lost my identity during this process. So there's identity erosion for the targeted parent without access to your child. When all this happens, you're like, am I even a parent anymore? What am I supposed to do? One of the first things the two narcissists did to me was cut me off from my daughter in her school. I had no idea if she had anything going on at her school, like any programs or anything. Never got notified. I didn't even do anything, but yet I was told I wasn't even allowed on the property. Why? And all of this was in retaliation. So it's unfortunate. So if you are going through this right now, I want you to know that you are not crazy and you are not alone. I'm here with you. I know what it's like. I know it's heavy. It can be. Just because I look like this now, there were many, many days I was in a fetal position in my bed crying with my eyes puffy, no makeup, hadn't taken a shower for days. So it's taken me a long time to get to a healthy state again. So please don't think that you're in a hopeless state, because I promise you there are many more out there. But I do want to tell you that there is no linear needed, just truth. And I would really love to hear what you have to say. It's important to me because it is important. And it's important for me to hear it so it resonates with me too as a parent. And hopefully, hearing it from everyone, it'll help resonate with all the parents out there. So it'll help add emotional depth and give the other alienated parents something that they can actually hold on to during those tough times and during Mother's Day and Father's Day as well. So we'll wrap up this episode, and I want you to know that you're not forgotten. Take a deep breath, think about your children, and know that you're still a parent. And I'm right there with you. And there's many out there with you too. So take care and know that you're loved, and we're all here with you. And thank you for tuning into this episode. So peace, love, and be kind, because you never know when you're going to need it. And please stay tuned for the next episode.
Parental alienation is dangerous, and it hurts the children as much as it hurts the adults that are involved. Children are left to wonder why their parents can't and won't and don't want to have a relationship with them, and it causes lifelong effects that hurt them long down the road. This is about the kids, not the other parent. Parental alienation is wrong.
How would you personally define parental alienation as it pertains to your personal experience?
Well, alienation to me, I think not only with the research and the interactions with professionals in the environment, but my own experience as well. I believe that alienation as a primary definition is when one parent is being treated as an entirely negative entity without any actual reason for personal safety of the child, such as if grandma says, "Oh, don't listen to your dad," that could be even its simplest form of an alienating factor. But to persuade a child to not listen to or not engage with an actual parent, I believe that is the fundamental issue that determines what alienation is. And now,
before I get into the clinical, Willie, what would you define parental alienation as based on your own experience? Not the clinical diagnosis, but your experience.
Okay, so for me, it's a little different. I know for some parents, it's the weaponization of a child, which is true. But for me, what's happened is it's the withholding of the child. My daughter has been withheld from me, where in several cases, I was not able to see her, speak to her. I was able to speak to her, but it was slowly taken away. Like, it was gradually taken away. Like, everything was gradually taken away. And I didn't understand why. I didn't do anything. And, I don't know what is being told to her today. It seems like maybe nothing bad is being said about me, but maybe. I don't know. I don't know what's being said because I'm not allowed to talk to her.
Yeah, it's an ongoing trauma. Having horrible dreams about losing them, feeling like you've lost your purpose in life. And, there's times when throughout the process, certainly I would feel so incredibly low. And, I would look back at old pictures or things to try to at least remember some of the positive to keep going. But to your point about the grief, the part that's so challenging is that there's no end date. And I did feel that way in the beginning, like things are going to get righted. But that, been feeling that way for a long time, and certainly still trying to hold on to that hope. And I still remember our first co-parent counselor saying, well, kids just do better when they're with one parent. And well, since they're boys, they'll come back to you at puberty or something. And I was like, that's in 8 years. Like I'm not able to forego 8 years of the relationship. And also to think that it's like some light switch where, like how can you believe that you're going to have a strong relationship with someone if you just haven't had it for the last 8 years? It just didn't make sense to me. Just a complete minimization of that. And the grief, it's ongoing, and I'm getting further out from maybe the worst of some of it, I'm hoping, optimistically. But I'm also fearful that if things did switch and become a bit more balanced, that all of those kind of accusations and things like ramp up again. So I never feel comfortable. It's just this kind of state of being unsettled.
Yeah. How would you define parental alienation?
I would define it as the weaponization of a child to destroy a parent-child relationship with a loving parent. And when I say weaponizing, I would just be, again, implanting false memories, making overreaction of things that could be minute things that the parent, we're not perfect parents. I will admit that I've made mistakes, or there's things I could have done differently, but I'm not a horrible parent. I have really good relationships with my nieces and nephews when we go to these outings or, family gatherings. But my own children have a problem with me. And I truly believe deep down that there was nothing that I did that was as bad as you just cut off a parent. Because there's people like, I looked at a Charlie Sheen Netflix movie. The guy had so many issues, but at the end of the documentary, his children want to be a part of his life. So there's parents that are really trying to just stay in their children's life, who, are fit parents, loving parents. And then there's parents that maybe they're more of estranged, but in my personal situation, it was just moving on that their father just could not accept, and he could not accept some of the issues that he had that were not resolved. And so he just weaponized them to reject me. And I think it has a lot to do with insecurities and not being able to accept that they love two parents, and they should love two parents. And so it's a lot of those behaviors and that 5-factor model. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but there is a lot of bad mouthing, denigration, just speaking so negatively of the other parent. And when it's so unnecessary, just support the relationship and that's it. So again, going back to the definition, it's just weaponizing the child as to get back at the other parent. And I think that's he accomplished that.
My heart is with every parent and every child living through the agony of parental alienation, false allegations, and the kind of heartbreak that steals your breath and shakes your sense of safety to its core. I know that pain intimately, the grief that crashes over you in almost unbearable ways. But I also know the moment when pain turns into purpose, when you rise up, and not because you're unbroken, but because you refuse to stay broken. Working through the Professional Alliance of Child-Centered Safety has created a form of healing for me. Advocacy does not ease the trauma, but it does create a new strength and determination to protect children. Self-care, including the practice of gratitude, is not just a saying, it's survival. It helps you endure the abuse of parental alienation. If you are hurting, please don't sit in silence. We can heal the trauma and simultaneously fight for a system that prevents this harm. You don't have to choose one or the other, and you never have to do either alone. I am truly thankful for hope, for my resilience, and for the strength that has come from standing alongside some of the strongest, most devoted parents I have ever met. We aren't alone. Together, we refuse to give up on protecting our children.